Obviously, as a offensive coordinator who loves scouting defenses, he knows guys that can step up and beat game wreckers. And we get to talk about not only the joint practices, but also the Bears and what they've done over the last week and some change with our next guest, Chris Emma, who's going to talk to us about some training camp coverage on The Score, which is sponsored by Plumbers 911, Plumbing Emergency. Call the professionals, available 24/7 at 1-833 Plum 911. Chris, you were able to see Dexter Lawrence up close and personal also at all the training camps and the joint practices. Is he as much of a game wrecker as Ben Johnson was alluding to, or was that just coach speak talking a guy up?
That dude is an athletic 340 who just goes up and makes plays. He picked off Caleb Williams at the end of practice, and it was like, wow, who was that? That's Dexter? Like, it was really impressive to see. And like, from my perspective, we used to hear about Khalil Mack being the same way, where there were just series of practices that were just blown up because Khalil Mack was taking over. And I'd not seen much of that in a practice before Thursday in Cincinnati, where Dexter Lawrence was just impactful all the way through. And for an offensive line with a guy like Joe Tooney on there and the veteran presence on that line, that they were struggling to get things set, Dexter Lawrence was that guy. But there was a lot going on in those fields. It was not all Dexter Lawrence, and there was good moments for the Bears, certainly on the practice field on both sides. But yeah, Dexter Lawrence took that thing over a bit.
Yeah, Chris, so I want to ask you about the left tackle situation. I know sometimes it's hard to see out there at those joint practices, but what did you see from the left tackle situation? What do you think moving forward? And do you think this is just a two-man race right now?
I think so, but I got a lot of concerns there, Clay. I mean, look, Braxton Jones, I think, is going to be your starting left tackle for week one, and it's certainly something they'd like to get resolved here pretty soon. Like, the goal is to get that continuity set and to really have your five in place. And Braxton Jones did not have a great week in Cincinnati. He did not play particularly well on Thursday. He goes out there in the opening drive of the starters, run out there with the ones, and there's the big setback penalty that forces them to a field goal instead of going for 6. So that sticks in the mind of Ben Johnson. Theo Benedict did not play well either, and did not play well in practice Thursday, and certainly not in the game on Saturday too. So I got a lot of concerns. Jedrick Wills kind of backed out of this competition, just did not assert himself well at all. Crowd Amagaji, I don't know if he's going to be on the 53 this year. It's been really tough sledding. I think part of your tackle depth this year is going to come from guys who are not on the roster right now, picking up through the waiver wires and seeing if you can add some competition that way. But a year ago, they were in the same spot, guys. They were trying to find the solutions at left tackle, and nobody really won that battle by default. And there they are in the week 5 bye, flipping it up again. So I think it's in a slightly better spot now because Braxton Jones is healthy and feels more confident, and he's still getting reacclimated to full speed football after the injury setbacks he had last year. But this has not gone great so far.
Chris Emma hanging out with us here on 104.3 The Score. Gabe Ramirez, along with 9-year NFL vet Clay Harbor. I'm curious, because you mentioned about the Bears obviously dealing with this issue last year and trying to figure out the left tackle position. And then I'm looking at the team as a whole. There's been some departures. You look at DJ Moore, you look at some of the injuries that have happened so far during camp. Does this team look better than they did last year?
Yes, and that's because of Caleb Williams, and that's the beautiful silver lining of all the struggles and all the things you've had kind of going on the roster with the
Right.
offense and certainly the injuries on defense. Caleb Williams is that guy, and he's taking that necessary step you want to see going into year 3 and certainly year 2 with Ben Johnson's offense. He has had a lot of really strong moments in practice and in camp. And last year during camp, there were so many days where the offense walked off the field looking defeated and not really knowing what they were doing. And you saw the struggles, and I think it was wearing down Caleb Williams because he was getting challenged by this coaching staff, and drinking through the fire hose is the term we kept hearing. He was drowning with that. It's different this year. He is so much more confident in Ben Johnson's offense to the point where he can pinpoint the ball placement exactly where he needs to go. He's not overthinking routes. He knows where his guys are going to be. He's in control of this offense now, which is a beautiful thing for the Bears. And they brought in a center in Garrett Bradbury to kind of be that caddy for year 3 for Caleb, year 2 in this system, the same way Drew Dahlman was. Caleb is helping Garrett Bradbury just as much as Garrett Bradbury is helping Caleb. He is in full control of this offense. He's an extension of Ben Johnson on the field. It's not always been perfect. There's been some days where there's been struggles, and I think that day in Cincinnati last week is certainly one of them. There were some ups and downs for Caleb Williams, but the overwhelming feeling is that he is taking that next step, and he is exactly where he needs to be here.
Yeah, Chris, so you've been out there, OTAs. I've seen this guy's always got a notepad out. He's locked in. You can't even talk to the guy because he's so locked into practice.
Why are you talking when he's working?
Training camp.
I was got time for Clay.
Yeah.
I was got time for my guy.
We'll always chat. But what has been the biggest surprise from camp, if there's a player that's really popped. And then I want to get your take on this. We asked Jim Miller this. Me and Gabe had a conversation about this earlier. Who are the Bears' top 3 receiving weapons, receivers and tight ends, going to be from what you've seen, all OTAs, all training camp, from what you've seen out there so far this year?
I think one of the biggest surprises, frankly, is that Dio Dengbo's out there and he's participating and he's looking sharp. And I think there's a lot of eye rolls when you hear the name Dio Dengbo because of how much money he's being paid, and everybody's had fun with the motivated Dio memes and internet and lines and all that. But here's the real part for the Bears is that this is a guy who could answer a significant need you have if he is able to get back to being the player you thought he was. And it might just be a bad signing. You might just say, cut your losses. It's not going to work out. He's not that player. But what if he does become the player Ryan Poles believes he is, and he answers a need for this? And you saw, I know it wasn't the Bengals starters out there, but he was getting off the edge sharp. He looks like the kind of guy you want to see him be. He looks more explosive, confident in his cuts. He's said that going through the other Achilles injury and the other leg previously helped him really master this and get back ahead of schedule. And I think that experience, it's not great experience, but it's experience in life helped him become the type of player that he wants to be this season. So I think there's a lot of eye rolling with Dio Dengbo, and I get it. It's okay. You're allowed to be skeptical because he did not play well before the injury last season. But if he's able to be an impactful player for this defense and really address a need on the edge rush, then you're talking about something. Then he is starting to fulfill that contract a little bit. So that's been a pleasant surprise. Then yes, about the receiver spot. I mean, I want to see Luther Burden out there healthy because I am buying all that Luther Burden stock. Like Ben Johnson said, Romadunze looks healthy. He looks strong out there. He is cutting well. He is in control of his routes. He is not dealing with that quote-unquote new normal that scared the daylights out of everybody. He looks like the Romadunze you want to see. And then Khalif Raymond, man, like this is a reliable. I think you and I have seen this in practice watching together. Like his movement out there is like, who is that guy? And he's got the old dog veteran to him.
Like he's 24 years old.
But he can move,
32.
Yes. That's a beautiful thing. This guy, like, he's smart, he's savvy, he's always in the right spot, but he can turn that corner and just go. And you see why Caleb Williams loves throwing the ball to 14.
You know he's not 24 when he takes off the helmet, though. That's for sure.
Well,
the hair.
I didn't say that.
Why you gotta hit my man when he's down?
You brought up the hair.
Come on,
I said
man.
when he takes off the helmet, maybe like his face didn't
All
look
he's
it.
got to do is go to Turkey and get himself a little bit of a hair.
Just because you got
done.
a full head of hair doesn't necessarily
Bro,
mean
you're the one
that.
who said it.
I said it when he takes off the helmet.
Exactly.
You alluded to the hair. I could have been talking about his jaw structure. You don't know.
All
Anyway,
right.
Chris Emma, our lead Bears reporter here hanging out with us on 104.3 The Score. I am Gabe Ramirez. That is the disrespectful Clay Harbor that is out here talking about dudes' hairlines and stuff unnecessarily.
I thought that's where you're going, Gabe.
No,
I'm pretty sure it was.
Chris, we mentioned, obviously, you were talking about the wide receivers a second ago. But I want to talk about the running back room. You know, Kyle Monunga, obviously with the knee injury week to week. That's the group that scares me the most. Just because I feel like I don't know if they're going to be able, not that they won't, but it's hard for me to wrap my brain around them duplicating the success that they had last year. You know, obviously health, etc. But it strikes me. And then with Kyle Monunga being as he is in the beginning of the season, it's worrying me.
I'll play silver lining here. I'll be the positive guy
love
because Ben Johnson being in charge of the run game gives me confidence that it'll all be okay. And I'd take it back. I know it was in Cincinnati last November, but remember Britton Brown running for touchdowns and like really looking like, and you can just plug anybody into that running game and they were kind of just running free because Ben Johnson's offense is just that good. Like, I think you're okay. I think you're all right. Last year, a year ago right now, you're saying this is the seventh rounder is going to be your backup running back and turned into a heck of a football player in Kyle Monunga. And DeAndre Swift looks really sharp in practice. He looks faster. And I know this is a guy who's been in the league for a number of years, and you don't expect him to take strides at this point in his career, but he's taking strides at this point in his career. He looks like he put in a lot of work this offseason. Contract year, highly motivated. Like, I see the dividends paying off here, and I think DeAndre Swift is going to have a really strong year for this football team. Worried about Kyle Monunga, I'm with you there. The fact that this is a multi-week injury, a knee issue that may just be lingering for the early part of the season, and you got to decide if you want him out there less than 100% the first few games. Don't love that. Savon Ahmed has stepped in well at that running back position. Britton Brown, I mentioned, had one of my favorite plays of camp where he lowered the pad so strong that his guardian cap popped off and he finished in the end zone on the Bengals. Like that was a real run there. So I just tend to feel optimism in this running game because Ben Johnson's in charge. You got Joe Tooney blocking, and you got some guys up there who can break those holes and give you something.
Absolutely, Emma. So here's something that I wanted to say. I almost forgot about earlier in the show, but Ben Johnson installs the run game. Usually that's the offensive line coach. Ben Johnson installs the run game with the entire team in the room. Usually you go into your position groups, or maybe it's the tight ends and the O-line together. The receivers are there in the run install because he says everybody has a piece of this. He's telling the receivers, he's telling the O-line, the tight ends. He's installing it as a whole. First off, head coaches don't install the run game. It's usually an offensive line. And then to have the whole team in there, the whole offense when you're doing it, also crazy. That just shows you how detailed, how much the run game means to him. I think when people hear Ben Johnson's name, they think this crazy coach that has all these gimmicky plays and gimmicky passes. This guy's a hard run game offense. I don't care who he is at running back. I think this run game is going to be successful because the amount of detail and time that Ben Johnson puts into the run game. I've been with Andy Reid, Bill Belichick, whatever. This is incredible that he does all that himself. But Emma, we also had this discussion earlier. If there's one position on defense that you're concerned about, are we talking edge? Are we going nickel? Are we going safety, cornerback, Tyreek Stevenson? What's the number one position that concerns you on the defense right now?
It's all over the secondary right now, man. I mean, we were talking about the edge rush a few months ago, saying, well, the secondary is going to make up for that. They're going to be able to cover so well that you're able to get home and you're going to get those coverage sacks. And now you're sitting there saying, how fast can these pass rushers get after the quarterback to create for your secondary? And the Kobe Bryant injury cannot be understated. This is a significant loss. The best case scenario right now is mid-December. That is most of the regular season here. This is your top free agent pickup, your top addition for this defense where you got rid of Kevin Byard, you got rid of Nashawn Wright, you got rid of Jaquan Brisker. You made these moves because you wanted to upgrade this unit around Kobe Bryant. And by the way, now your first-round pick and Dylan Thiedemann has a lot more on his plate as well. You cannot understate this loss. And there's no veteran stopgap where you're able to say, fine, we plug that hole, no problem. You're running guys out there right now. They moved Cam Lewis in the middle of practice from the nickel spot where he's replacing Kyler Gordon, by the way, to jump in at safety. And you're the new safety one out there. Go get him, buddy. That's a problem. You can't feel good about this depth right now out there.
Have you seen Kyler Gordon anywhere?
I saw him at practice on Thursday for the first time of camp, and I'll say this is notable because Kyle Monunga didn't travel, Tyson Bagent didn't travel. It tells me he's getting a little bit closer. This is a thing, man. Like, this has been a problem here because there's clearly a disconnect between Kyler Gordon and the Bears. And you don't have to speak in multiple languages to read Ben Johnson's, what he's saying here, that he is upset with this and the team is upset with this. And there is something going on where Kyler Gordon is not doing what the Bears want of him to get back out there. I think Kyler Gordon, for his part, is certainly frustrated as well because it sucks to have these injuries constantly in his career, just setback after setback. He wants to be out there. But is he doing what it takes to be that guy, to be out there every day in practice and be healthy? Clearly not, because the results aren't showing for it. So it was good to see Kyler Gordon back out there. That would be a boost for this defense if he's able to get out there. But at the same point in time, Malik Muhammad has looked really strong in camp too. So if that's your next man up and that becomes a battle at the very minimum, or if he's just your starting nickel for this season and he takes it and runs with it, that's awesome. That is a success story.
Yeah, and it's just, contributing more to the decisions that the Bears have to make in regards to the roster. And that's where my next question leads, Chris, where, when you look at the bottom of the Bears roster right now, where do you think the toughest decisions are going to be for guys like Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson?
A lot on the offensive line. You're filling it, especially with the tackle competition. They started with 4 in that mix. They're down to 2, but you got to fill out the depth spots as well. You got some young players on the offensive line you want to address. You got some guys who have really stood out there, some unheralded guys, like Hayden Large, for example. Like that 53rd man on the roster is going to be a tough decision.
Guy can block.
He can, and do you want him to be kind of your H-back, your fullback essentially in this offense? Do you want to have a 4th tight end behind your top 3 and guys you feel really good about? Defensively, Jamari Croma is a guy we've talked about a lot in the preseason, and he's not just a preseason success story. This is a guy who has taken a jump. You keep hearing about the coaching points of guys getting off the ball faster and being more impactful with their technique. he's one of the guys who's taken that to a core and just run with it. And he looks like a much different player now, and somebody who's, I think, struck the coaching staff. So this is bottom of the roster stuff. Ideally, you're set at the top of the depth chart. You feel really good about your starting spots, and you feel like you're a team that still can go out there and win the NFC North. But you got some tough decisions as you round out the depth chart, and these are difficult decisions. These are difficult days. And it comes up earlier this year, too, by the way. Right after that game, we're talking about next weekend, you're making those cuts. It's an earlier cut down date this year, so you don't have as much eval time. I'll put it out there this week. They're not going to be playing the starters on Saturday night in Tennessee because they want to get every single young player an opportunity as much as they can to really showcase themselves in preseason football. And I think there's going to be a lot of that on the field as well for Thursdays, giving guys a chance to show themselves.